Welcome back to this video, to the tutorial actually. This is my first asset that has been published, and it's the first tutorial on this asset. So what this video is gonna show you is all settings are gonna be explained to you. So I'm gonna be using Unity starter assets to demonstrate stuff before the settings. So as you can see, I've just dragged the strip right on top of the place where the animator is, and you must make sure you have enabled IK pass. So that's the first step. Then you have to set the collision layer mask. So that's our first setting we're looking at. So this is the layer mask, the ground check, and the feed is actually gonna collide with. So so if this object's over here, let's just have a test in play mode. So let me just get that cube right here, and select that like that. I've got it. Just bring it over here. So drag it down so we can just use it as our box. And you can see this layer is default. So if we do not have default layer assigned here, our feed's not gonna step on that. So let's press play and have a look at what's going on. So right now we move forward, and you should see that IK is working. Now to quickly climb this object, let me just make it more lower. I think it's slightly higher than. I'll have to come out of play mode, select these all, and just keep that low. Save and try again. The feed's done, and yep. So you can see that. So right now you can see how everything is working, the foot's placed. But if I remove the default layer, so you can see, if I turn this off, there is no more IK. So because the layer is not colliding, so you can see this ground is as well default. So the layer is actually very important, and you must set it correctly. So in our case, this is default in ground. The next one is trigger collision interaction. So this is another simple one. It's also something like layers, but it's basically should the feed check for triggers. So if you say use global, it's gonna go and check somewhere in the project, I think. But right now it's set to ignore. So if I select these objects, I select them all, and I say alright, this is a trigger, you'll see how it ignores it, and just like it's like nothing in front. But if I select my layer again and I select use global, then you can see it's actually enabled. Actually you can use collide. Collide will also mean the same thing, unless use global is something different in the project settings. So these are the three options for collision interaction, but I usually set this to ignore unless you have trigger objects which you want to be interacted with. So we can just set that up back to normal, and I'm not sure why it ran all the way there. So there you are. Alright, the next setting is the sphere cast radius. So our foot placement actually depends on a sphere cast. You can actually see that through the gizmos. If you have a look, there are two sphere casts visible, and that are green two spheres are the sphere casts. So if you increase the radius, you can see where they're casting right now. So 0.1 usually is the best for a small foot of a normal person. You can see that it all works pretty okay here. So increasing the sphere cast radius will actually change the way the foot behaves. So you can see how it's not, you've made it too big, so the radius is too big in this case. Keeping the radius to a small amount is always better. So that does look good, right? So it's okay. So that's what the sphere cast is. And this is an interesting one. This is the enable crouching behavior. So what this does is, if you enable this right now, let me just go and stand on something so you can see this object. Now I'm on top of it. Still want to go on top of it. if I enable this right now, you can see how it drags the foot up, which is not really making sense in this case. Now the reason why this is not making sense is it's not in crouching. So this should only be enabled when you're crouching. What happens is the body actually tries to follow the higher foot instead of the lower foot, so it's also blended. When you're standing normally, the body's gonna offset itself and position itself depending on the lower foot, so that's how it's actually done. And then when you enable this, it's trying to follow the upper foot, but because the crouching behavior is not on, it's not making any sense. Now, as starter assets does not have any of that, we can use this body position offset Y to fake crouching, so let's drag it down. So that's how it would look, and you can see why we actually need the crouching behavior now. If you just drag this at a point like that, let me just take a point like this here. Alright, and then if I disable it, you can see a small difference, and then you can see the crouching tolerance difference. Let me just make this a smaller so we can just have a look at the IK instead. Make that bigger or something. Make this one higher than it was. Can't really move it, it's not permitted, I think. Well, it's just moving still. So you can see now that what's happening here is because of the height is too much, so we'll just drag it back down. But yeah, that's how you use the crouching behavior thingy. So if it was walking on a slope or something, then it will make more sense. So let's just go to the stairs area and let me assign the reference that's wanting for me. Let's follow this. So now we have third person on. Let's go running towards the area. So right now, if you have a look, crouching behavior is enabled. And let's just put the offset more sensible. So you'll see that if I go upwards, it's now stretching the lower leg and trying to follow upwards. You can see it's almost as if it's walking, but actually it's half crouching. So let's just drag this one down. Okay, so now you can see that is helping a lot. So when you actually have crouching animation, look way better. Right now this looks still odd because of the fact that we are just moving the pelvis body position offset it. So that's the enable crouching specific, and the crouching tolerance is literally a percentage of how much it should change, so it blends between the lower foot and the high foot. Usually it's best to go with a value like this to give small amount of tolerance, and yeah. Let's see how the foot was dragged up, and if we select this object and drag it more higher, you can see how it's dragging the pelvis with itself. If we continue dragging it, it stops at a certain point, so yeah. So that's it. That's the crouching behavior thingy. And the crouching tolerance. So currently it doesn't have much effect because the capsule is correctly positioned. But if I just decrease the capsule's length, I move behind, you'll see now. So now it's actually doing the work. Yep. And if we drag it higher, it's trying to give that much, so pretty fair enough. That's the crouching tolerance and that done. Now we still have an extra option, so this can be modified from a script because it's accessible, or you can actually put your animator's state in here, the name of the state, and it's going to automatically compare with the state that's running. So if you actually have a name for these states, like maybe you have like jump start, you might pass in this name, then you'll see that's enabling crouching behavior on that name. Otherwise you can just modify it directly from your script or the player. And if you add, like I've added one right now, so it's actually not enabled because there's nothing matching right now. But if I just take this out, it's all working back on. So that's it. So that's the whole general settings part. Let's just reset this back. So the next one is the enable foot placement. Now that's quite simple. Yeah, just enable and disable, so that doesn't affect anything. And show debug gizmos, so that chooses if you want to see the gizmos, like the sphere cast. No, the sphere. Check spheres, round sphere gizmo, and the sphere cast and the rays that's displaying. You can turn it off and turn it on if you want. And then the Gizmos color can be modified to your preferable color. And then feet IK weight, so that's the weight of the feet IK. You can see how I'm changing it like that. That's the feet IK weight. The next one is height from ground sphere cast, so that is the, as you can see, these rays are defining that. The height is from the ray sphere cast height, so the maximum heights. You can see if we increase this, sorry, I used the wrong value, where it's gone, here it is. So if you increase this, you can see how the maximum the foot can actually go to. So this means that even if an object comes there, the feet can come up there, so that's also available. And the sphere cast down distance is the exact opposite. It's how much down your feet can go. So those two are done. Then you have the feet position Y offset. So suppose your character's pivot is slightly higher and by default it's going in, then you can modify this one. Like you can see how I can change the offset value and it's helping out. But for this character, I've seen this is the best value. Then you have the feet move Y speed, so that is the movement speed of the feet on the height feet adjustment. So you can see how it is smooth right now. If I make this 1, you'll see it's gonna be jerky, kinda jerky. You can see how it's just snapping to the point. Making it really slow, you can see it's gonna be more smoother. You can see how smooth it's become, and you can try out with what your preference is. You make it really slow. Then you also need to adjust the body positioning speed at the same time. I actually modified this instead. Well, set that back to 1. The feet Y speed. Yeah. So you can see it does become smooth depending on that. Then also you need to take in this body positioning speed, because if you make that one too slow and it's too fast, it's not going to help a lot. So you can see this one's giving a nice and smooth result. Yeah. So that's the body positioning speed and the other speed. Then you have the max rotation angle, so that's the angle the foot can rotate at maximum. So it's actually clamped where you can't go after a certain amount. So you can see how right now if I increase the clamp, I expect it to rotate more, but I've clamped it to 45. You can see how this is actually changing. So you can clamp it to 0, then no rotations. And this is actually calculated before adding it to the animation rotation. So if the animation rotation would order it to move slightly more, then it would. So that's the max rotation angle of the ankle, both of the feet. And then you have auto calculate foot rotations. So this is whether you want foot curves or you want to use the additive rotations. It's like that. So if I disable this, you'll see it's not happy, because of course if you want to use curves you can use that, and of course it's deprecated. Nobody likes to use that anymore. So usually you'll just keep this checked and everything's gonna work. And let's move on to the body IK placement settings then. So this is basically the IK weight. The first one is body IK weight. This is literally just holding the weight, just like the other one. It's just the IK weight. You can see how it's changing everything. And then you have the Y position offset. So that's just like the feet offset. That's the pelvis offset. This can be used for many uses, like offsetting the body if you want to create a different style or anything. And then you have the feet positioning speed. Sorry, body positioning speed. That's the speed the body positions itself. So you can see that if I make it 1, it's very jerky and causes the feet to also jerk a lot because it's the parent. So this set to something like 0.1 does not have any problem. That gives pretty good results. You can see nice looking. So usually you'll go with something like that, or 0.2, you know. So that's it for the body key placement settings. And then you have the ground check settings. So that's literally just helping you out with ground check. You can see the sphere going like this. This is the ground check. So this is the ground check distance. It's where it's going to cast it from the player's position. You can see how it is working. And then you have the ground check radius, so how big it is. So yeah, that's the ground check settings. And if the ground check is not available, it just turns off IK. So you can see how jumping looks pretty good, looks really good, and it's almost as if it was not enabled. But yeah, so you can see if we stand here, then also it looks pretty good because the ground check is changing the state every now and then. So that's all the settings of our script, of the HK for placement script itself. So enjoy, configure settings to your preferences, and see you in the next video.